It's DTS 207, Faction Rally returns, Black Ops 4 drawing some massive backlash over its Season Pass model, Division 2 promises a full year of free support, and Anthem is BioWare's biggest game ever. All that and more coming up.
You're listening to Destiny, the show.
What's good, everybody, and welcome to the DTS podcast. I am BBKDRAGOON. I'm joined as always by my great co-host, Ditty. We're 1 week away from our 2-year anniversary. How was your week? Or 4-year anniversary. What you know what I'm saying. Yeah. It's been a long Monday.
It's a Monday, huh? It's one of those kinds of days. Yeah, my week was great. I'm looking forward to the anniversary coming up. And maybe we'll have some super awesome announcements. No, just kidding.
Stop doing that. We don't have any announcements, dude. We really don't.
Yeah. 4 years every single week is crazy, right? That's a huge milestone. So congratulations to you for sticking with it.
And congrats to you, man. Thank you.
Of course, fans of the show, listeners, seasoned listeners will know that next week is your anniversary, and then 2 weeks from now is my anniversary.
Yeah, you aren't on episode 1, but
the best solo podcast you'll ever listen to. Go find it.
No, do not do that. Dude, when you said that's high school, that has messed with my head for so long. Like, imagine doing a weekly little thing all the way through high school. That is still wigging me out, man.
It's a long time.
That is a long time. That's almost college, but college was 5 years for me because I was working part-time.
I had to
a lot of people, universities, like 5 years now, dude. Like, they make it tough to stack your full undergrad in 4 depending on your major, you know?
Yeah, and then you have the really smart people doing their master's degree plus bachelor's in 5 years. Props to those guys, man. I couldn't do it.
Seriously. It would be very hard to still be in school. I'm a buddy with a guy who... he had a really sweet engineering job and then just decided, I want to go into the medical field. And he's now back in school. He's got MCATs this next week. And I mean, he had like a great career going. He's a few years older than me. And I'm like, props for you for chasing the dream. But oh my word, what a terrifying choice. I don't think I could have made that choice.
That's crazy.
Yeah. For real, thanks for listening to us for all that time. Thanks for supporting the show. I don't think Ditty and I ever thought it was going to get to this point or that we would ever, have the community that is here for DTS. So thank you guys, and we'll talk probably more about that next week. It's going to be a shorter show, Ditty. We're going to talk about the TWA. We're talking about Black Ops 4's crazy Season Pass nonsense, how it ties into a lot of the logic, I think, behind the D2 Season Pass, and then also the Division 2 and Anthem information. So why don't we just get right into the news? All right, so the Faction Rally returns this week, June 26th. Diddy, I'll ask you, who are you pledging?
Future War Cult. Even though they'll never win.
I think they have maybe a slim shot. I'm going to stick with Dead Orbit this time because I didn't get my rank 50 last time. It'll be a miracle if I get rank 50 by the end of Season 3. I'm not grinding super hard. What was that?
You got to play a lot for rank 50. It's a grind to get up there.
Totally. And then also alongside the Faction Rally, we got a preview of more exotic armor tuning changes coming to the forefront. One of those you were pretty excited about.
Lucky Raspberry, man. Increased chance to fully recharge your arc bolt grenade when it hits. Not when it gets a kill, but when it hits. And then it guarantees a recharge on getting a full chain that hits 4 targets. That's a PvE player's dream. Of course, going to happen in PvP a few times, but it's going to be a little bit easier in PvE. That is absolutely crazy.
Mine goes to the Karnstein armlets. Melee kills now instantly heal you, then grant continuous healing for 8 seconds. Obviously, I want to play around with it and see what it's like after the change, but that on paper makes me... I got a little smile, a little smirk reading that, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Yeah, so if you guys want to check that out, the link will be on destinytheshow.com. We're getting a little dry on movie of the week, Ditty. I'm not sure if you saw, but it was basically a GIF.
It was exactly a GIF, that one movie of the week, which to someone who got honorable mention for my music cover, I'm a little salty about that.
You weren't good enough, Ditty. You know, that effort, that time put in.
I put
you just
too
needed
much effort into it.
That's right.
Is that what you're saying?
Yeah, if you were wearing a crow mask, you probably would have had movie of the week for sure.
Ugh.
Oh, yeah. So not a lot happening in the world of Destiny right now. I am expecting to sort of get a little bit of a new roadmap update after E3 is settled down. So you've got the E3 just shenanigans. All the developers are pretty much getting home, and this is like their first week back in the studio. I'm betting information about that new summer event, Ditty, probably in next week's TWAB or the one in 2 weeks. What do you think?
I would say the one in 2 weeks.
Yeah.
I don't think we're going to see any substantial details about Forsaken or anything about the September release until mid-July.
We will see more information about the new ammo system for like the new weapon slot changes. That is one thing I know we can expect.
Yeah, that's one thing that we're
sooner
looking
than
out
later.
for. Right. Yeah.
I'm enjoying it, but we are in that summertime. I am sad that we don't really have triumphs, it feels like. You know, this time of the year, this is usually when you're going through that record book and filling out the nodes for your triumphs and finishing things up before we get to Forsaken. And it doesn't look like that's going to be the case unless that is the summer event, right?
Yeah. Hopefully.
Some kind of record book.
I mean, that would give players visible, attainable goals before September, right? Something to start you getting in the habit again of playing Destiny every single week, at least, right?
Totally. Well, on the Activision front, I want to talk about the Black Ops 4 Season Pass, which is drawing a lot of criticism, and I can understand why. So currently, you've got the $60 base game of Black Ops 4. On top of that, they're doing the Black Ops Pass, which is where all the DLC is bundled into. Previous CODs, you could buy individual DLCs for the ones that you wanted. Not the case this time around. It's kind of like the Destiny 2 annual pass thing that they're getting into after Forsaken, where instead of picking like, oh, I want to buy Curse of Osiris and not Warmind, which you shouldn't do that, you should do the reverse. You're forced to just buy like the whole kit and caboodle, the whole burrito. The real nasty thing that's coming out right now, it looks like the Black Ops Pass is only available in the digital deluxe version of the game, the $100 version of the game. And I'm going to quote here. Well, an FAQ about the Black Ops Pass says that it will be available by itself at a later date. There's no indication of when that date will be. And until we learn more, the only way to ensure you get Black Ops 4's newest maps, characters, and zombies mode additions as soon as they're released is to drop $100 on the digital deluxe edition. So the fear, the ire, the anger, the frustration is coming into play here, Ditty, where it looks kind of like that Modern Warfare Remaster, where they completely tied it at the hip to Infinite Warfare for a long stinking time. So you had to buy the big, $80 or $70 version of the game in order to get it. Why? Why would they do this is my question to you.
Well, the easy answer is because they know people will buy it. But
yeah, that's a good answer.
The real answer is exactly why. This is really strange because, like you said, it ties, and like we said last week, it ties in directly with the Destiny 2 Forsaken annual pass price point, right? You have the $40 Forsaken coming in September plus $30 for the whole next year of content. Whereas on the flip side, Activision looks a bit silly because the Division 2 is dropping, the Division 2 is coming out, and then for the next year, all the content after that is free.
Yep. First
That's
full
really
year.
silly, right? Because this is where Division 2 capitalizes on its continued support. And hopefully Anthem has something similar, right? Because it's the two competing publishers at this point that are, one is, in comparison, a no-brainer.
I'm just looking at the picture here. You have the best-selling console game each year by a pretty big margin in Call of Duty. And why you would want to squeeze that audience even tighter monetarily is confusing in this climate where we've talked about the free-to-play games that this new generation of gamers are exposed to. But yeah, Division 2 promising multiple raids in year 1 plus a full year of DLC support for free. Like, that's the whole first year. And you look at tons of these other games like Battlefield 5. Okay, we're getting rid of the loot box element, and we're going to be doing continued support. Granted, after Battlefront 2, I'm not holding super high expectations, but this seems like a very odd step to me from a company who already has tons of cosmetic microtransactions in their game and those stupid little loot boxes that Call of Duty added years ago. I think this might be a misstep to the degree where it shifts the tone entirely industry-wise. I know everybody's always looking for the COD killer or looking for, oh, is this the end? No, it's still selling oodles and cadoodles. But you can only push a fan so far before they're gone. They're done. You've broken that relationship, you know?
Yeah, I agree with that. And it's interesting because they say that, well, you'll be able to purchase it at a later date. Of course, they don't give the date, the estimated timeline. It could be a year later, or it could be 3 months later. And they also don't mention a price point. You mentioned that this seems to be only available with the $100 digital deluxe version of the game. The base game is what, $60?
Yes.
So that makes this annual pass, or excuse me, season pass,
40.
At least $40. So when they sell it at that later price point, you know it's probably not going to be anything less than $40 because of the backlash that the digital deluxe edition purchasers would no doubtedly do, right? I paid more for this, and people who waited, don't get to waste their money. It's probably going to be like $45 separately, or they're going to have each, I don't know, their release date on any of this future content, but it could be every 3 months, price point of $15 each, and if there's 3, that's $45 right there. So it's very questionable.
Yeah. Well, the moral of the story is do not pre-order games, and if you don't like this practice, don't support the practice. That's the best way you can communicate is with your wallet, even though we already know this game's going to still sell.
I mean,
Oodles
you
and
do
cadoodles.
Have the other argument, well, the developers, they need that income, right? And then you look at developers like Riot with League of Legends, or Epic Games with Fortnite, or Warframe Digital Extremes with Warframe. They have free-to-play models plus the microtransactions, and they're being supported monetarily with those microtransactions. And the question is, how are they, functioning their business model on that free-to-play game plus the microtransactions? Well, I think those microtransactions are a little bit more desirable, and with the amount of content that those developers constantly push out, the consumer, the player, trusts that developer to deliver on content that the player wants. So in turn, they want to support that developer even more. So it kind of gets that momentum going. I know myself, when I was addicted to League of Legends, I spent, probably $200, $300 on that game, and it's free. That's crazy, and I don't play it anymore. But I think I did not waste my money because it felt valuable to me.
So have you ever been to like an upscale restaurant? Is there like a higher up restaurant you and Sanic enjoy?
Yes.
Okay. And
Fogo de Chao.
Yeah.
Brazilian Steakhouse.
So when you go there and you look at the menu and you're like, oh my gosh, it's like $30 or $40 per line item or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
And it's going to be a kind of pricey experience, but you don't have a problem going to it because you know the quality of the food and the experience is well worth it. If it's a good time, if it's a good meal, I will happily pay for special occasions. It's not something we're going to do all the time, but like if there's value there, you don't have a problem supporting it, right?
Yeah, exactly.
The reason we're having this conversation, why the whole industry is sort of having to look at this under the microphone or under the
microscope.
Thank you. Yeah, is because as gamers and consumers, we have been burned. There's plenty of digital content we've purchased that has not delivered on that value proposition, has not given to us what we feel like is worth the cost of entry. So, again, if the season pass is unbelievable and it's totally worth the money, great, support it, go for it, support the devs. But I mean, this is Activision we're talking about here. This is not a bleeding heart charity that needs your support to keep the devs off the streets, right?
Right.
Okay. Division 2 promises multiple raids in year 1. At E3, Massive revealed 8-player raids are coming to the game, and during an interview with Gamertag Radio, shout out to those awesome crew of dudes, creative director Julian Garrity shared that raids will be challenging experiences for players, and the rewards will help let others know that this individual has conquered something. Raid 1 will release a few weeks after the launch of The Division 2, March 15th. Plans to release multiple raids throughout the game's first year are set in stone, and Ubisoft plans to offer all DLC for free for the game for year 1. Woo! A lot of people had wanted raids in Division 1, and when we got incursions, they really weren't raids. So when you hear multiple raids, what do you think? 3 raids in the year, Ditty, 4 raids in the year, and just sort of compare and contrast. Now we're talking about the Division and sort of this free support that they're pushing towards players in this first year. Is this a response maybe directly targeted at a company like an Activision?
I would hope so. I mean, this is the Division 2 is, that cooperative PvE experience. Had the PvP as well in Division 1, right? With
it did. It wasn't obviously probably the main draw for most players.
Right, but it was available,
yes.
Right? And if, experience has taught us anything, this is probably going to be a quarterly DLC release. So hopefully 4 raids in total in the first year. So one a few weeks after launch, and then 3 months later you get another raid. 3 months later you get another raid. 3 months later you get another raid. That's ideal, I think, in my opinion.
Mm-hmm. I'm excited. I'm totally going to give Division 2 another chance, and I think I've said it maybe on the show or on my channel before. I like the way Ubisoft is playing things where most of the time when you purchase their base game, they don't give up on it. They keep putting support into those titles for a very long time. Like you look at For Honor, you look at Siege. There's just a different mindset here where it's like, we're very happy you bought the base game. Almost like an Overwatch. It would be very weird if Overwatch started selling expansions, wouldn't it?
Yeah, it would. I hadn't really thought about that, but yeah, you're right.
It wouldn't make sense, and it would split the player base, and I don't think it would feel super good, if that makes sense.
Yeah, it does. By the way, the Division 1, if you're a PC gamer, is on the summer sale for Steam. Get it for $10. That's 80% off. I think that's worth it. Just give it a shot.
More than worthwhile.
Yeah.
And last thing I want to close the show out with is a short video that we got from the head developers over at Anthem. And they basically were saying that Anthem is, quote, the biggest thing we've done, and it's also the biggest team we've ever had. So it's a scary endeavor for sure. 6 years is apparently how long Anthem has been cooking in the oven, Ditty. Did you know that?
No.
I didn't either. That seems... That's a long time. I'm a little worried just hearing that, because 6 years, that's longer than we've been doing DTS for, Ditty.
I mean, if you think about it, that's kind of how long Destiny 1 was in development, because there's Easter eggs in Halo 3 ODST, and that came out in, 2009?
It is
Destiny
crazy.
1 came out in 2014?
We're getting into timescales that, are far beyond big blockbuster movies. These are projects if you're only working on, let's say, an Anthem or a Destiny, that could take up a significant portion of your actual development career. If you have a 40-year career or something, it's there's 25% of my career spent on one game. Craziness. And I think I want to go into Anthem with a healthy level of caution, but each time I look at it and I see it, I just get excited, because competition breeds innovation. And if the Division's looking really sharp, and Anthem comes out and it's quite good, maybe got Borderlands 3 someday coming out and it's really good, it's going to force competition onto Destiny, which really has enjoyed sort of that space unto its own almost its entire life cycle, wouldn't you say?
Yeah, that is crazy to think about. And by the way, hopefully Borderlands 3 doesn't turn into a Half-Life 3 situation. I really do hope it comes out. I really do.
I think when it's done, is kind of their mode.
They want to do it right?
Mm-hmm.
I mean, Borderlands 2 was solid, I think.
It'll be curious to see, because the games as a service thing was not really as popular when Borderlands 2 came out.
Right, yeah, they could have had to rethink how they do their business model, right? How they launch this game. That's interesting. Yeah,
because Borderlands still feels like an old school game that you buy, you play through it with your friends, and yes, it has the opportunity for many, many, many playthroughs, but it still doesn't have that same feeling as the never-ending games as a service model, right?
Yeah, and the games as a service model is kind of the hot thing right now, right? And they could have been developing that one-time purchase game, play with your friends for 40 hours and then put it down, move on to the next game.
Mm-hmm.
And they might have needed to change it to that living, breathing world that so many other games, Anthem, Division 2, Destiny 2, of course, seem to be doing.
Yep. Well, those are the main bits and pieces of news. The post-E3 apocalypse is winding down, Ditty, and I hope everybody's just enjoying their summer, and thanks for listening to us. I'm really stoked for the 4-year anniversary show. Closing thoughts, and then where can people find your content?
I mean, I would just say on the last thing we talked about Anthem being the biggest project that BioWare's done, obviously bigger teams in game development don't necessarily mean better.
Yeah.
Because we have the obvious example, Destiny, 1,000 players strong, or developers strong. The product, not as great as we thought it would be. But, hopefully Anthem lives up to its hype.
Yeah.
Because, BioWare, known for their story content. So, the story is going to be at least halfway decent. So, I'm excited about that.
And they have a lot of experience to draw upon from Mass Effect, from the Star Wars MMO, The Old Republic. Like, they've had their fingers in a lot of pies over the years that might help them really create something sharp and on point. But it's also EA, so
yeah.
everything has to be sort of clouded over with that. All right, where can people find your content, my man?
Twitter.com/Ditty, DTS, DITTY, and YouTube.com/Wooshness, WOOSHNESS.
All the links from today are on our website, DestinyTheShow.com. You can follow us on Twitter at DestinyTheShow. You can follow me on Twitter, Twitch, and YouTube at BBKDRAGOON. Thanks for listening. Have a great week, and we'll talk with you next time.